Exactly.
But fundraising, as you know, yes, at a mogul level, it's very important, but at an individual level, because a little bit helps.
It helps.
Means a lot.
I was talking to a charity the other day that's been in town 20 years, and they have 55,000 donors. 20 years. So that's a lot of donors.
Yes.
So that's a foundation or any charity is healthiest with a wide net, because the larger donors might just do venture capital, or they might just help for a few years to do something else.
Sure.
So if you've leaned too hard on the larger donations, you could be in trouble.
So in tough times, tough economic times, we're out of the recession, but I don't know if the charities are feeling that. Do people give less?
They do give less. Oddly enough, I was talking to, I think some of the charities that work with the people right on the street. I was talking to Cheryl Prepchuk the other day, who's CEO of the food bank, and giving the food banks up a bit because people realize there's a desperate need at that level. But I would say a lot of charities take a hit. And the recession might be over, but unemployment is quite high in the States and still climbing. And if you add the unemployment they talk about and the hidden unemployment of people not looking for jobs, the U.S. has about a 17 or 18% unemployment rate. They're our neighbor. If they cough, we get a cold. So we're going to be in this cautious state for some time.
Very much so. So when you walk the streets of the downtown east side and see some of the rejuvenation, and it's inclusive, the plan is to be inclusive, to not have us and them down there at all.
Have both.
I'm the millionaire, you're the poor guy.
Right. They've done studies throughout the world, and one of the studies we studied was in New York City, Calgary's 10-year plan. And the best thing to do is have mixed housing, have social services so people's life are stabilized, but get them into housing. Stabilize them into housing, support them, and have them live amongst a cross-section of the community. College kids, middle class, retired people, upper class, all of that. And that, if you do that, it's a healthier fabric for community, rather than saying, well, all the needy or poor people are going to live here, and all the wealthy people are going to live here. And there's an attempt in East Vancouver to have it both, not drive them away, but to mix up who lives there.
And yet we have too many homeless, too many kids in poverty.
We do.
Certainly too many children in poverty.
We do. Here and internationally, it's mind-boggling. And I think that the church community needs to play more of a role. They do a lot of, someone said that I think sometimes our tax structure in Canada is more Dickinson, it's like, well, if you want food or you want clothing, you can, but if you want a creative way to take on something, sometimes Revenue Canada is quite cautious about that. But we do need a lot of creative ways in which to engage the nonprofit, the profit, and the community to take children. So we can feed them, we can get them off the street. But there are so many laws, Fanny. There are so many laws that you have to be careful. Now, one of the laws a couple years ago came out and said, well, you know what? If you want to feed the hungry, some of your churches, we're going to have to, if your kitchen isn't right, the food has to be made there. So all of a sudden, thousands of people who made their food and brought it into local churches had to make it there. I mean, the government has to work with the society that has compassion. Tax cuts for the wealthy, freedom in the kitchens for the ones who want to help, to solve the problems. That's all I'm saying.
Right. I totally agree. If you want to have a potato roast in Pigeon Park, why shouldn't you be able to do that without all the health authorities and everybody coming in and all the rules coming in?
Right.
It makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense to me. And let me just say, you asked about fundraising with the affluent. Often people, I was talking to a gentleman who is quite well known by this community and on major boards, and I said to him, tell me a little bit about your life. And his family flew him over here from Hong Kong, and he did trees. He did planting trees up in northern Vancouver, northern BC, just to make to earn money. Made a lot of money one year, bought a car, had all that he made in an envelope, and was driving home from northern BC. Picked up two hitchhikers who robbed him and stole his car. He was dropped out in the middle of nowhere. And Salvation Army picked him up, took care of him, got a hold of his family, got him a bus ticket back to his home. Now, he's fine. But I said, have you ever said thanks to Salvation Army? And he said, well, what would I do? I said, well, get on the board. Get your checkbook out. And you know what? He did. And I put him in touch with him. He got on Salvation Army's board. And I think sometimes people comment giving about the way they were touched. is something,
Yes.
or they have a sister who died of cancer, or they have a brother who had a mental condition, or they had a great, I mean, one of our largest philanthropists in East Vancouver, mother, died on the streets in Halifax. Never forgot it. So now he came in and he's built entire communities for caring for women that are, let's just say, the most marginalized. And he's bought the buildings and redone them in his mother's, in fact, one of them's named after his mother.
How great. But as you know, people in business, entrepreneurs too, don't just want to throw money at it. They want to help somebody get to where they are.
Right.
Do you work with that as a connector? Because you connect the moguls with the poor and
Yes.
with causes. So it must be important to anybody who's giving you money that the people who get it get out of the gutter or an addiction.
Well, I think there's real issues of charity, and there's real, which I think we need to do, and there's real issues of helping people move up the social ladder. I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, there's a First Nations woman, lovely lady who I knew, who had 3 kids. Her oldest child, you know, only less than 10% of First Nations children graduate from high school. All 3 of her kids are graduating from high school. Her oldest was valedictorian at her high school. And I said, do you have ever thought of going to university? And I mentioned a university, and she said, well, no, we don't have the money for that. And I said, it costs money to apply. And I went, no, it doesn't. And I said, so I helped her apply, and I think one school needed $50. Okay. Well, it turns out that her daughter did apply, and her daughter did get a scholarship. And then she got so inspired by her children, then she won't me a letter a year ago, and she said, very sick, don't have money for rent for 2 months. So my office has a fund given to me by philanthropists to help the needy. We paid the rent. 3 months ago, I got a letter saying, been accepted in UBC Law School, start in September. Now, to me, that's the answer. You help them, people that have needs, and then you encourage them along, their children or themselves, to have a healthier, better life.
And send the role models back to the community.
And send the role model back to all the communities.
If you're an Aboriginal child, an Indigenous child in this country, and you see somebody from your community who is a lawyer or a doctor or a successful plumber, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. So be careful that you don't create a codependency where you're helping them and then there's no motivation. We just started a project that we're working on in the poorest East Vancouver schools. 4 of the 7 poorest schools in the Lower Mainland are in East Vancouver, or 5. And we're working with getting philanthropists and business people to adopt a school and slowly begin to work with the principal and help build bridges between the business community and what these schools might need, things that impede the kids to attend school or to read or to write. We just started that. We have 1 person in place. We have other people who want to do it, but we're working out the details. But again, that's what City in Focus does. It builds bridges, it networks, and gets out of the way.
Well, Sarah McLaughlin gets it. She has her music program in the downtown east side and puts it all together. She was on the Power 50 list.
Yeah,
she was 50 and you were 39.
Yeah, it just shows you mistakes can be made, Fanny.
Who has pull in the city? That's what that list is about. Who can pick up the phone and make something happen in a good way? What are you doing with this gold project, the 2010 project, More Than Gold?
Well, the More Than Gold is a name that's used by every Christian community in every major sporting event, be it Olympics, summer or winter, or it could be the World Rugby, or it could be the World Cup for soccer. And what it is you come in, and the community, Christian community often says, well, how can we help? So More Than Gold is churches working together trying to help. We work with VANOC. We maybe provide parking spots for them. We have someone helping them on their chaplaincy program. We have someone else helping them on issues of sex trafficking. And then the church community says, how else can we help? So we work on social issues, housing. When they come in, people that are coming in, they need a place to stay. We work on sex trafficking issues, because so many prostitutes come in during the Olympics, and we work with all the communities for that, and secular and church communities working together. We also work on getting a book or something to people to say, here's what we believe, but it's gentle, it's well written, it's stories of Olympic winter athletes are in it. So it's informational, it's relational, it's hospitality.
Okay, so
it's all.
As you know, when the IOC's involved, there will be rules.
Yeah, there are rules, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.